Well, hi, hello, yeah, lighters, meters, I, small town Didi, you're Khadi on these year internet, and I am back as terug. We are back, darlings. Tell us more on DJ Fresh. Interesting. Um, Three of you said you would want to hear me talk about this, and luckily for you, all I had watched it already, and I had to have it playing now. I didn't make notes on it, and I really should make notes on stuff because my brain goes everywhere when I'm talking, and I struggle to see a point through sometimes, and that's not good. But he went on to DJ Fresh's podcast. I wasn't aware that Fresh had a podcast, but it seems like it launched maybe 4 months ago or something. We learned in the interview that Fresh wanted him to be on for the first episode. Why? Because Mo does numbers. Mo pulls numbers at this stage in his life because of all the controversy around him. He pulled numbers on that MacG shit, probably still pulling numbers on there. And Fresh wanted to launch this channel with him, or as him as a guest on the first episode, and he couldn't do that because he had another engagement or something of that nature, and he says he felt really bad about that. This was interesting to me. You're probably like, why is she dwelling on this? This is just interesting to me. I love how men respect each other because it reminds me that they know how to be respectful. They just reserve it for other men because that's who they recognize as peers and people deserving of respect. So when they disrespect us at every turn and minimize when they've done something that's inconvenient to us, please don't think it's because they don't understand what these things mean. No, it's just because it's you, and the admiration that he has for Fresh. Really, 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 honestly, whenever I see how man dab up like man, we're big dog, which is crazy. That's what I call my brother. When I see that, I'm like, they get it. They get it. They just don't think we fucking deserve it. But that really has nothing to do with anything. He chose to go on there in the same fashion that he chose to go, or for the same reason that he chose to go on the MacG thing, and that's that they move in packs. Yeah. People who think in this manner, even the allegedly gang, people who have got like these kinds of allegations leveled against them, they rally around each other and they move in packs to protect each other's alleged behavior, to justify their alleged behavior. He went on here because there isn't the regulations that you would have to deal with from like a traditional radio stations don't exist here in the same manner that they don't exist on MacG, which he said when he went on there, in that there would also not be enough pushback, enough wanting you to account for anything. The people whom you're going to speak to probably think just like you, believe you are a victim. I don't really care to get into the merits of that case because I don't know what happened. I didn't follow it that closely. I don't know if it's that he was found not guilty more than Lerato was found to not be a credible witness or victim or alleged victim. I'm really not sure what transpired there, right? What we're going to talk about is the state of him right now. And he seems to be in a lot of pain. And in his unraveling, people are seeing opportunity to do numbers, but he's not seeing it from that angle. And that's interesting to me, right? This man that you admire, you respect so much, this is DJ Fresh here. In your crisis, he saw an opportunity to do numbers and you're not seeing it in that view. He wanted to launch his platform using you. And you're so sad that you could not have been able to allow him to use you like that. You're so gutted and you thought he was mad at you. I went down the YouTube channel. It's about 4 months old. I could be wrong, but that's the oldest video I saw on there. The first episode he had on there, he had to bring on some heavyweights. He had to rely on his industry connections. He had Oskito on there, his Boo, and I'm not sure who else, but I think it's 3 people he had on there. That video is 4 months old. It's sitting on 115K. Mo's video is 2 days old and it's sitting on 72, 70, whatever K. So it might do better numbers than that, or in the period that it's gone on, it definitely has done okay for his channel because it's not it's a new channel. It's not doing crazy numbers as yet, like a MacG is at the moment. But it's interesting to me. I just that dynamic is so interesting to me, how much they love each other, how much they respect each other, and they have none of that shit left for us. It's just notice these things. Don't look away. Pay attention. But anyway, a lot happened in this interview. We learned about that, and then we learned that he had a mental break. He experienced a mental breakdown, and this was after he separated from his wife. We learned that he's separating from Mome, and he's the one leaving Mome. Listen, I feel bad for Mome, but I am also at a point in my life where the patriarchy princesses, I've lumped them in with men and men's rights and men's issues. I don't care, and I don't care to save them. The intersectional feminists will come and get you guys. I can't be that. My better nature I can't allow it. I work at suppressing it. I can't allow my better nature to override what I experience. I can't allow my empathy chip to try and tilt my head and be like, oh, but I see where he's coming from. I see where Mo is hurting. I see this, I see that. When I know at the back of my mind that if that were me or a woman who looked like me, Mo would not give a shit. Mo would go about his business. DJ Fresh would go about his business. The men who look like them, who I'm supposed to be in community with as an accident of my fucking birth, would also go about their business. And so I'm also like, oh wow. Like I'm literally like, oh fucking wow, girl. You made your bed, and that's love, that's marriage, that's commitment. You were married to this man, or still are, because the divorce is not final. And while you were married to him, this thing happened. You decided to stick beside him because that's your man. And then he's now leaving you. And he's leaving you because he's not able to perform masculinity in the traditional sense of provider. And so he doesn't know what role to play in your life. He's not sure how to show up in your life. So his solution is to exit. I'm not making this up. He said that in the interview, that it got to be a bit difficult. It's not nice that Mome is the one like carrying the financial load, and he can't even afford this and afford that, and Mome is having to take care of him, and as a man, he's pride, he's this, he's that. So he's choosing to exit the situation altogether because he can't find a way to redefine masculinity, to redefine his role as husband, to redefine his role as dad. So his solution is to exit altogether after she's stuck beside him. Instead of doing that work of trying to find value in himself outside of this very pigeonholed type thing where it's like, this is your role and this is your only role. Instead of learning new ways to show up for this person that aren't rooted in finances. And it's not me minimizing how important financial contributions are in homes, right? In building a strong family. That's not that. That's just saying this doesn't happen when the woman loses her job, because our intrinsic value is not rooted in money, right? We find ways. Granted, our experience and our expression of self as taught, right? In that femininity isn't always linked to your ability to provide financially, but rather to provide the emotional, all the other laboring that is a bit more like a lot harder than money, and nobody wants to talk about that. But he doesn't want to do that work to figure that out. So he chose to leave. He experienced a mental breakdown when he left and says he didn't sleep for 7 days or something of that nature. And in walks in the reality that he doesn't have medical aid, he says, which is standard in South Africa. We don't have medical aid. Like, that is a thing. And the public health system is scary. But he says he got assistance from, did he say Tembisa Hospital? But he said it's a public institution. That's what I know. It's a public health facility that assisted him. I mentioned in my Dineo Ranaka video that I experienced something like this with a family member in the last couple of years, where we also had to go the public route to seek the psychiatric assistance we needed because the private institution near us does not offer that service, probably because it's not profitable, right? Do you know what's profitable maternity? Yeah. They'll pour a lot of resources into that. He did a great job at advocating for public health care in this segment of this interview. I love that for him. It really brings about this chat where when people are facing mental hardship, where we're like, oh, they must just go seek help. The help isn't there, guys. There aren't institutions and systems in place to catch us when we're experiencing these things, right? You have to go a route that you didn't even think you'd have to go down, and you hope you're as lucky as him to get the assistance that he got. He says he got really, really great help from this institution that he went, and we're very happy for him. He probably would not have had to go down this path if he just figured out how to make his marriage work, but that's neither here nor there. Mom is stuck beside him and he's jumping ship, right? He's rebuilding his career. A man, and they say this, a man does not like it when you see him at his lowest. The fact that he had Mom buying him airtime at a point, he can't stand that. He can't stand to be around him. She's seen him at his very lowest. And whereas us as women are, we don't see you like that. We sign up for this hardship. When we say marriage, we make room for it in our minds that this moment may come. Men don't do that. Not really. Especially when they get into the marriage in a good position. They don't think that this could be taken away from them. And I think that's where Mo is for me. Especially with the Skumba stuff, right? And just industry stuff. Something is happening here in his brain where his brain can't compute how people pulled back and distanced themselves from him when these allegations happened and when what happened to him happened with Lerato and he went through all of that. Because here's what's happened that I think I'm confused as to what the confusion is, right? I'm really, really confused about that. He had some industry relationships that he overvalued. And he's not healing from it. He's existing in this forever victimhood of this person didn't come back for me and this person didn't come back for me. Why would they? Right? You misconstrued the strength of your relationship as a real brotherhood when what it was a relationship of convenience and mutual convenience and benefit. And as long as your star was on the rise, being tethered to you was a great idea. When we talk about how surface level your relationships are as men, your brotherhoods, how surface level these things are, and you guys can have like a relationship spanning decades and decades, but we can recognize from a distance that there's no depth there because what you guys think is depth is usually money. It's usually in the admiration he gives to Fresh, the dynamic of the relationship is rooted in the fact that Fresh is this figure who's amassed all of these things. He's got the stature in society and in industry and therefore has earned my respect as a man. And that's why I give it to him. His inherent anything, his humanity, things like that, they don't count as per the teachings of patriarchy, right? You fell from grace. You lost the things that get you respect from other men. And by the things, I mean the bag. This thing with Lerato made you lose out on your bag and your standing in industry and therefore with other men. They no longer owed you anything because you did not have the things that matter to men as a man. And I'm struggling to understand what you aren't understanding there. You could no longer perform masculinity in a fashion that they could recognize, so they had nothing to respect. Skumba didn't owe you any loyalty. He was good at what he did, you were good at what you did, and together you all made a cute bag. And you were no longer in a fashion. to make that cute bag. This is a man whom you've let us know in this interview that he's not a risk taker. He's not inherently an entrepreneur. He's a person who can tell a joke. Whereas when I look at you as tall as Mo, I see a creative who is also an entrepreneur, who is determined to see this through. You are probably stifled in your traditional job at Discovery. I think it is. You said you worked a call center gig. You said Skumba only, he was like, he worked at the police station or something. You said he only retired probably right before COVID, right? Or something like that. But he stayed on for that security. You think a person like that, because you like Eugene is the one who said, you guys should just quit these 9-to-5s and full on come on and let's do this like entertainment thing and make this guap. And Skumba was too scared to do that. You think a person like that is going to like come back for you when the internet and everybody is coming for you? That's not a person who knows how to take risk. I really don't know what confusion he's experiencing around his dynamic Liz Kumba. Like I don't get it. Maybe you thought you guys were closer than you were, or you probably were that close, but the moment it wasn't convenient, you had to go. Like, I don't know why he's confused about this. He needs to, they need to have a conversation. I think Zeus Network has this show thing they call The Conversation, where we see like people who've had like public spats come sit down across from each other and they have the chat. I think him and Skumba should do that when they get the time. It'll do great numbers. It would. If he ever decides to like do the a channel thing or podcast thing, that'll do numbers. Get that person on there and exploit that relationship for the little bit of currency it has left. But I don't know why you're confused about that. Mome is getting dumped, which is unfortunate for their kids. Well, you know, who knows? I don't always believe that having two parents in the home is the best idea if the having the parents in the home was no longer healthy. But I don't know what is going on in their home. But I believe they would do the best for, I would like to believe rather, that they will do the best to make the situation as easy as possible on their kids. He mentions that he's moved out of the home and he moved out of the home they lived together on the farm. He says he's moved back to his place in Santon or something. I don't know. He's doing work. He says he also mentions shooting something at Nkandla, and I was like, they really do move in packs. When he said, I'm like, they move in packs. They do the alleged gang, right? Ooh, can't do shit. Of course, Ubaba let you up on there. Ubaba, like, really? But anyway, that was really it. He's on meds. I hope somebody's watching him take those meds, because it sounds like he's on a couple of things. He says he needs things to help him sleep and also manage his anxiety. But yeah, that's pretty much what's happened there. I've reached a point in my life where he says he believes he's so deeply traumatized by Black women that he can't imagine sharing his life with another Black woman. He needs to go the white route, which I laughed at. I literally chuckled when he said he needs to get like a white girl or an exotic thing. I hope that was a fucking joke, because intersectional feminism is literally a response to white feminism, because white women are fucking problematic. But good luck. If that's the route you want to go down. I think it's hilarious that he's blaming his trauma or his rejection of Black women on this experience with Lerato, when I explicitly remember him on MacG blaming his mom for trying to, I don't know, sabotage their relationship with his criminal father. I don't know if you guys missed that, but on MacG, he said his dad's a criminal. We heard this from him, allegedly, and his dad had gone to prison, wasn't around for years because he's in jail, and somehow turned around and said his mom was the one trying to sabotage. Your dad's a fucking criminal. He chose not to be in your life because he wanted to do a little crime. But he blamed his mom for that. So I refuse to believe that your disdain for Black women is just the Lerato thing. You've been knowing how to assign Black women blame for things that go wrong in your life, starting with your own mom. for things that your dad did or didn't do, right? Because that's another thing a man can do. Blame a woman for some shit his daddy is not doing. Yes, in my brain, I can never process this stuff from now. Can you tell I'm confused though? Can you tell? Because I've been confused the whole video. I mean, I'm talking to you guys, but in my head, I'm just like, yo, Anya, you. Like, no, you're game, like, but it's like, anyway, that's what he says, that he's traumatized by black women and he can't fathom being with a black woman. He doesn't want to be bothered with a woman, asking him about cultural things. This is a whole healer. This is a whole sangoma. Not wanting to be bothered, not wanting to be partnered with a person who would want to concern themselves with things of African practice, like African spirituality. When I tell you they don't give a shit, this is why when they like partner with these women and have babies with them and then turn around and say, oh, my baby must speak Zulu. Like, you would have got a Zulu girl if that's what the fuck you wanted. Like, get the fuck out of my face. But anyway, that's what he says he wants to do. He's traumatized. He couldn't make love to his wife, he reiterates from the last interview, without seeing that woman flash before him, which is odd to me. I find this very, very interesting and odd, but I will not analyze it past this point. Says that, because that's how his trauma is coming through, and nobody has the right to tell him what to do with his trauma because nobody tells women what to do with their trauma. And I chuckled. Yeah. Says a woman can come out 10 years later and decide that somebody assaulted her and some poor guy will get punished for something stupid. Yeah, it's telling what he thinks. That's exactly what he said. He called it get punished for something stupid. He said that. Because 10 years has passed, it now means if you were assaulted, something happened to you in the same fashion that this woman accused him of, and enough time has passed, By the way, we're not the ones who, that's why I chuckled. We're not the ones who told you as men that you can't experience your traumas and process them how you want. You guys told each other that. And you guys police each other around these issues. That's why I don't care. That's why I keep telling you I don't care about men. They want to uphold the system in as long as it benefits them. And then when the intersectional girls try to explain to them, hey, look, there's a pitfall. Here's where you get harmed. They don't give a shit about here because all the way it's you getting harmed. It's people who look like me getting harmed, right? So it doesn't matter. Up until something happens to them, then it's like, oh, the system is actually not designed to work for me. Now, all of a sudden, you want to, like, the epiphany happens, and then you want who to be their understanding of your circumstances. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Momo will be there for him. That's his PA. If you've seen that clip do the round, it's Momo he calls, not Mome. Mome's nowhere here. She was there at the last thing with Mac G. She's now been dumped. She's at the farm somewhere, getting herself together, peddling moringa as a weight loss something, probably. Who fucking knows what she's doing? But she's stuck beside him, and Kanye told us he's not leaving her in the desert with no water, bitch. He's making sure to even tell us that he's the one walking away from her girl. I'd be so embarrassed. I tell you guys all the time, they don't leave. They don't leave. The men will even end up leaving and resenting them. That man will now resents her. And that's not the word he's using, but he's resentful of the fact that she saw him at his lowest low and she had to help him through that, and she had to hold things down while he was unraveling. And that should be how marriage is supposed to function. When you aren't able to be your best, I'm supposed to show up and be the best for both of us, get us through this. But when that happens, men they can't come out of it. They keep thinking she must see me as weak, and she sees you as a human being. And sometimes, yes, we are weak. She's seeing you as a person experiencing life and all that comes with it. And she's saying, I'm still willing to love this person through this. Miss Hopelessly Devoted, right? And he's like, nah, I gotta bounce. I gotta bounce. I need to go get me an exotic bitch. Thank you so much for holding me down, for paying these bills, for raising these kids, for raising me. But I gotta go. I gotta go get me a Mariki. He goes by Quibus now, or Quus, I don't know. But that's it. There really wasn't anything profound to chew on more than that. We are right to not care, to advocate for these people anymore. We're right to mind our own business. He still reduces assault of this nature to attraction, saying, yeah, and I'm gonna say it again, I now got a lot of flack for it, but like, she's dark and I'm not attracted to her. And I was having a chat with one of my mates and she's like, so is he saying he would have done it if he was attracted to her? What's his chat? This messaging, again, when I'm saying I can't advocate for him, because in saying that, he's again rewriting the narrative of assault of this nature and reducing it to what were you wearing to attract this person. When you use that kind of language, you're reducing the nature of this assault to attraction, and it's not. You know it's not. You know it's a power play. You know it's a power dynamic issue. You know it's trying to get something from a woman that doesn't belong to you, that she's saying, no, you're forcefully saying, this is mine, I'm going to take it. I was built to have a physical advantage over you, and I'm going to use it, and I'm going to take this thing. That is not attraction. You know it's not. So the fact that he said it then, he's saying it now, to me, just feeds into this thing that the victim is responsible for how men behave. When things happen to us, we're responsible. We must have done something to attract these people. The words we use matter. They loaded, they charged, and they mean things. You can't say things like that. It's not about attraction. It's not about that. She is an attractive woman, by the way. Across the board, she's a fucking model. A lot of people would recognize her as an attractive person. Maybe you don't. Fair enough. I'm not saying you do, as tall as Mo. But that's not how this works. And I refuse to believe you're actually like dense enough to think that's how it works, even though that's the narrative you want to continue to peddle. He hates the feminist that holds, we don't give a shit. And he wants a white woman who's not going to bother him with all of this nonsense. So good luck to him and his pursuit of white women. He says he's celibate, says he's been 6 months celibate. He's aiming for 24 months. It's easy. You can do it. Anybody can do that. And it's good for you. Forcing yourself to, maybe I'll do a video about this at a different stage. But I went through a very long phase in my life where I was like, sex was too awkward for me. You know, I had to do a lot to just have it. And I kept thinking, the more I do it, it will get better. I don't know if I've shared this with you guys already. And I was like, it will just, if I keep forcing myself to do it, I'll eventually get to a point where it didn't. So I just fucking stopped. Okay. So good for him on that. Celibacy is like a great thing. It's a good thing to arrange your thoughts, get in touch with your body. He says he doesn't get aroused anymore. I know things like depression and, you know, when you, even anxiety, I've heard other people say can do that it can kill off your, like, you know, your appetite. You see it with women as well. Like, nobody's trying to fuck while depressed. Like, not really. But good for him on that. Hope he sees that through. It's nice to commit to something and see it through. He says he's putting up work. You all will go and watch. But that's it. That's really my contribution to this. I'm sorry if I bored you, but no, it was not an enriching watch. It just was what the fuck it was. Mwah. Bye, Yala.